I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes when she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted.
You know, just join the debate by saying more crazy things.
She tells you how to fight ISIS on her website. No wonder you've been fighting ISIS your entire adult life.
He loves beauty contests, and he called this woman Miss Piggy.
I think my strongest asset, maybe by far, is my temperament.
Woo, okay.
We used to be there.
Yeah. The candidates can check the box now, guys. I know they were nervous yesterday morning. They would never admit it, probably, but they have that first debate in the can now.
Yep, 1 down, 2 to go. It all happened right there out at Hofstra University last night. There, you know, people were saying they're going to play it safe. There were fireworks. And this morning, if you missed part of it, we're going to detail it. But I'll tell you what, when the two of them came out, it was just surreal, because there you've got the woman who has referred to Donald Trump as a sexist and a racist over the last year or so, last 6 months. And then you've got him, whose crowd has shouted, you know, lock her up, and he calls her Crooked Hillary, and there they were shaking hands. And that's when it started.
It reminded me of Holyfield Tyson, because for the longest time you watched both careers, but they never fought each other. And then after 15 years or 10 years of being pro, you finally saw them in the same ring at the same time. And that leads us to the question, who got the knockout? If it went to the cards, who did the judges vote for?
Just like a man, to give us a sports analogy. I love it, Brian. But you're absolutely right. We were all watching last night just to see how controlled Donald Trump was going to be, and if we were going to see any fireworks last night. Hillary Clinton went after him, saying that he's racist, saying he's sexist, saying he says stupid things. Watch his reaction to this. Watch his facial expressions.
So he has a long record of engaging in racist behavior. He has really started his political activity based on this racist lie that our first black president was not an American citizen. This is a man who has called women pigs, slobs, and dogs, and someone who has said pregnancy is an inconvenience to employers, who has said women don't deserve equal pay unless they do as good a job as men. He loves beauty contests, supporting them and hanging around them. And he called this woman Miss Piggy. You know, just join the debate by saying more crazy things.
Okay, so the reason we did the split screen right there, and they had the entire debate like that, which was very handy, just to show you that she was throwing the bait out there. She was throwing the red meat. Was he going to bite? No. It was all about the temperament. Did he have the temperament to be commander-in-chief? That's what a lot of people were wondering. Coming away from it, you kind of go, yeah, kind of look like it.
Thought there was a lot of opportunity for Donald Trump to go at her when it came to cybersecurity, when it came to her decisions over the last 4 years, when it came to all the scandals that really she brought to the table up to being Secretary of State. And then now we find out while she was Secretary of State, there was really no Clinton Foundation talk throughout. But Donald Trump went after her generally. He could have been much more concise on judgment.
Hillary, I just ask you this. You've been doing this for 30 years. Why are you just thinking about these solutions? Look at her website. You know what? It's no different than this. She's telling us how to fight ISIS. Just go to her website. She tells you how to fight ISIS on her website. I don't think General Douglas MacArthur would like that too much. See, you're telling the enemy everything you want to do. No wonder you've been fighting. No wonder you've been fighting ISIS your entire adult life.
If we're going to talk about mayors, that under the current mayor, crime has continued to drop, including murders. So there is.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not.
Murders are up.
So they were toe to toe. You know what she needed? She really needed him to fall on his face, because that's really how they have built it up. And he did not. I mean, for the most part, it was a draw. And in a situation like this, when it's a draw, the draw goes to the challenger. I mean, rather than the D.C. insider of 25, 30 years.
She said, go to my website for fact-checking.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed with that because she'd already said it was up to Lester Holt to do as a moderator to do the fact-checking. Now she's sending people to her website to do the fact-checking. First of all, most of the viewers are not going to go to her website to go read the facts. I think as the candidate, they should know those facts going into the debates, and they have to be prepared. Because to me, it told me that she's sending us to the website because she has people on her team that are doing the
Well, she was
fact-checking.
hoping Lester Holt was going to be on her team. And in fact, Lester Holt, two things happened to Lester last night. The first half, people felt like, where is he? They're just going back and forth. And it was pretty good because they were fact-checking each other. But then the second half, people started to realize, wait a minute, he's not bringing up important things. Brian, you mentioned the Clinton Foundation. Where was that? Where were the questions about the email? Where was Benghazi? He was hammering Trump, but gave her a pass. Watch.
You had supported the war in Iraq before the invasion. What makes your
I did not support the war in Iraq.
My question is, since you
would you like to
supported
hear?
it, why is your
I was against the war. Wait a minute. I was against the war in Iraq, just so you put it out.
The record shows otherwise.
The record
but why
does not show that.
Why are we perfectly free to release your taxes during an audit? IRS says an audit. Mr. Trump, for 5 years, you perpetuated a false claim that the nation's first black president was not a natural-born citizen. The birth certificate was produced in 2011. You continued to tell the story and question the president's legitimacy in 2012, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump, this year, Secretary Clinton became the first woman nominated for president by a major party. Earlier this month, you said she doesn't have, quote, a presidential look.
She doesn't have the look. She doesn't have the stamina.
Well, a lot of people think that's a sexist word. It's not, because in sports, every third word is stamina. It's part of the success and failure. But and I think we're used to that. I was a little surprised. A couple of things stuck out with me. Number one, we're getting involved in a question nobody cares about. The beginning of the Iraq War, what was a businessman? What stand did a businessman have on that? It really is such an easy question to parody. The real question is, what was your judgment when it came to the surge? Remember the statement, you have to suspend disbelief to think we're going to win with the war in Iraq? And guess what happened? They won with the war in Iraq. She voted against the surge. Barack Obama against the surge. That's the modern question. I'm really surprised we ended up there.
And then he kept saying, ask Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity and I have talked about this a million times. I was not for the war in Iraq.
Right,
he mentioned his name several times.
So take a look at some of the things that Trump was grilled on. He was grilled on his tax returns when you're going to release them. On the Iraq War, you were for it before you were against it. On the whole birther thing, which he says Hillary's team started. Also, his bankruptcies and stop and frisk. Donald Trump tweeted this out. Lester didn't ask anything about email, nothing on the corrupt Clinton Foundation, and nothing on hashtag
Now,
Benghazi.
I will say, as these candidates, if they want certain topics brought up, and they're not being asked about them, it's almost their responsibility to just throw them in
Bring it
there in
up.
some capacity.
Right,
Exactly.
and Trump did do that regarding the email.
I think he'll do that more in the next debate. I think this debate, his mission was just let's get through it, let's stay on topic, and let's have a clean debate.
Right.
Let me stay in the race. And I think now he's probably going into the next debate with more confidence, and he'll be able to stick to those talking
If you
points.
just think about it, if you just said, here are the two candidates, one's been doing this 38 times at the highest level, and one has never had a one-on-one debate before, and by the way, 100 million people will watch your first one-on-one debate.
That has to be intimidating.
I don't think he's ever been intimidated personally, even in ninth grade, personally. Just to with his makeup. And maybe it's the whole Trump family is like that. I'm not sure.
You don't think he was nervous at all?
I don't think
not
even a little bit. But I think that if you do want to get better, you look at the tapes and you say, look, listen, what could I have done different? And if you do that, like Barack Obama did last time, after debate one against Mitt Romney, he was 50% better in debate two.
Or like you would do in a football game. You would watch the tape
Everybody
from the
does.
weekend, right?
You break down each play.
And I wonder if Lester Holt's going to watch the tape, because when you look at it, it does look unbalanced. I mean, if I were the moderator, of course, I'd never be the moderator because I don't stay up that late. But why didn't he ask about the basket of deplorables? I mean, that's something that impacts half the country.
Someone on Twitter
half of the country.
named Deplorable Jim said he didn't ask about the basket of deplorables. No server, no Clinton Foundation, nothing. Now, Lester Holt interrupted both of the candidates several times last night, but interrupted Trump much more. Interrupted Clinton 19 times and interrupted Donald Trump 30 times.
Todd Starnes put out something about he felt that Lester Holt was auditioning for Hillary Rodham Clinton's press secretary job.
Now, I was there. We were there after the debate, and I heard one of the reporters asking Donald Trump, did you think Lester Holt was fair? And he said he thought he was. Now, later he tweeted, that he wished that he'd asked about?
I get the sense that Reince Priebus, I asked Reince Priebus, what do you think of Les Toll? He goes, I don't want to make news yet. I go, yet? He goes, yet. So I think he was a little upset. I wouldn't be surprised if any minute we hear something different.
Well, we're going to talk to Donald Trump himself. Keep in mind, one of the things Lester Holt told the entire crowd, don't make a noise. Just be like you're in a library. If you think something's funny, suppress it. And yet, Donald Trump was able to get a cheer out of the crowd when asked about taxes, he turned it into email.
You know, I made a mistake using a private email.
That was more than a mistake. That was done purposely. Okay, that was not a mistake. That was done purposely. When you have your staff taking the Fifth Amendment, taking the Fifth so they're not prosecuted, when you have the man that set up the illegal server taking the Fifth, I think it's disgraceful. And believe me, this country thinks it's disgraceful. It really thinks it's disgraceful also. I will say this. We have a situation in this country that has to be taken care of. I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes when she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted. As soon as she releases them, I will release.
And that's an offer. I asked Jennifer Palmieri that. She says he will not.
Who works for Hillary Clinton.
Who works for Hillary Clinton, one of the higher-ups there, says he should just release his taxes. I will say this. I was surprised how long they dwelled on the taxes. Yeah, yes or no, are you going to release taxes or not? But it doesn't talk about total income. He did talk about his investments. I thought he successfully defended himself as a business person because we asked him the same question on the New York Times story came out. And it said, he owes this much money to banks. Well, he's worth the billions, and he owes this much is actually an investment. At that level of finance, using banks is something the banks want to see happen.
I didn't understand the bank thing. I do understand why Lester kept hammering, though, about the taxes. When are you going to release your tax return? Because when you look at the polling information, that really resonates with Hillary's voters and people in the middle. It's kind of like, yeah, why doesn't he release his tax returns? Okay, I get the audit thing, but why didn't he do it right now? Same thing on his side regarding the illegal bootleg homebrew email server.
That was the only time that he really brought up the email scandal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. And hammering the BlackBerry never came up. Well, we'll talk to Donald Trump about that. The next one will be October 9th.
So who do you think won? Email us, friends@foxnews.com. You could tweet us, or you could be on Facebook as well. If you got a question for Donald Trump, let us know. We might ask him.
God, we have a great show. Kellyanne Conway, Eric Trump, Donald Trump, all kinds of sound. Plenty more debate reaction ahead, including that interview with Donald Trump's son, Eric, that ended with another special guest from the debate.
You became,
Sean,
come here.
Come on.
You became the Joe the plumber of this election last night or tonight.
That's right.
More from our one-on-one with Eric Trump. That's coming up next.
Wait, Sean's a plumber now?
Right after the debate, Donald Trump's family, they were right by his side as he was coming off the stage last night. We had a chance to speak with his son, Eric Trump, on how he thought his dad did last night, and here's what he had to say.
First presidential debate, your dad's up on stage. How did you think he did, and how did Hillary do?
Honestly, I'm thrilled. He did amazing. I was proud of him. We were sitting front row. I think we all had big smiles on our face. He was incredibly measured. He was so respectful of her, and I was really proud of him when he walked off that stage.
What moment stuck out the most tonight?
Yeah, I think when he was comparing taxes. You know, we want to put people back to work in this country. Hillary's talking about, raising taxes on everybody. My father wants to reduce taxes across the board. He wants to put this nation back to work. It's very, very simple.
Hillary accused her dad of doing crazy things, of being racist, of being unprepared. What was your reaction?
No, I think it's very, very sad. You see these sound bites. I mean, she perpetrates this everywhere. She's spending $750 million in negative ads. Not one of these ads talks about her accomplishments being a politician for 35 years. We have bombs going off in New York and New Jersey and stabbings in Minnesota. We have ISIS on the rise. The Middle East is a total hornet's nest. And she just runs negative ads about my father, and she hasn't fixed any of the problems. It's very, very sad, and we need better leadership than that.
Were you surprised that she was driving people to her website to do fact-checking and to defend herself? Is that a missed opportunity?
I think what people saw tonight was the difference between a totally scripted, candidate versus somebody who speaks from the heart and speaks off the vest. And, I think that's the difference between a politician and somebody who's been in business their entire life, who's created tens and tens of thousands of jobs. My father's created tens of thousands of jobs. Hillary signed, the back of a check her entire life. She's never created one job, and it's very, very different between the two candidates.
People said he just needed to stay cool. He needed to stay in control, and he did tonight. wasn't as exciting of a debate to watch as some of the ones in the past where things got a little out of control.
He could have gone in so many different directions. He could have been much harder on her in so many ways. He could have taken the low road, and I think she did in many instances during the debate. He took the high road. I think he did win, and I think he will win, and I know we're going to win. You see the polls that came out today, and we're leading in states that have never been won by a Republican before. We're leading in places like Colorado and Nevada. He's really redefined the map in the United States, and he stayed cool tonight, and as a son, I was so proud of him. I mean, he just did an excellent job.
What do you give credit to? He wasn't a career politician. Has he just learned along the way what to do, or is it because of his new team?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I think my father was himself, and I think he spoke from the heart, and I think he did a lot of preparation. I think that really, served him very well tonight.
How did your dad prepare?
Yeah, we did a lot of preparation, but his way of preparing is surrounding himself by the smartest people, the best people. I mean, he's been traveling everywhere with General Flynn and General Kellogg and so many incredible people. I mean, people who are really at the top of, their respective game, and he talks to these people, and he has conversations with them, and he dives deep into the different topics, and, that's how he prepares. He doesn't study flashcards with little written sentences on them. I mean, he travels with the best people and he surrounds himself by the best people.
Also, Eric, he used Sean Hannity. You became... Sean, come here.
Come on.
You became the Joe the plumber of this election last night or tonight.
The funny thing is, I'm like, I even said to him tonight, you really remember that, because we would argue, but it was friendly argument.
That's great.
About the Iraq War.
Yeah. Donald Trump says he was not for it. Sean was for it, and he said they would talk about it and debate it.
Yeah. All right, great job, Ainsley.
Thank you.
Absolutely. One thing we didn't talk about, and we're going to have to ask Donald Trump about when he joins us in 40 minutes, the sniffles. He had the sniffles through the whole thing.
Right,
What was
especially
that?
at the beginning.
Or did he?
All right, we'll talk about that. He also that's the way he takes deep breaths. Meanwhile, still ahead, let the spin begin. From Reince Priebus to Mark Cuban to Donald Trump himself, I take you inside the spin room from my perspective while Ainsley was on the other side of the building. Then,
Lee Carter is here to put the biggest moments from last night to the dial test. The results just released. Actually, they'll be released in 90 seconds, right? Good morning, Lee.
Good morning to you. 24 minutes after the hour, a couple quick headlines to bring you right now. We start with a Fox News alert. Overseas right now, 2 homemade bombs exploding just minutes apart in Germany. Those explosions happening in front of a mosque and also an international center. This happening just south of Berlin. Police believe that those attacks may be connected. No one was hurt. And then back here at home in the Midwest, thousands today, take a look at these pictures, bracing for devastating record-breaking floods. The Cedar River is expected to crest in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Just a few hours from now, that city is now putting up temporary flood walls and forcing 5,000 people to evacuate as it braces for possibly catastrophic water levels. We'll watch those stories throughout the day and bring you the latest. Steve?
Thank you, Heather. So what did voters think during the most outrageous moments of last night's debate? Lee Carter put the sound bites to the test, and she joins us live. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, so we should point out the way this works is you've got a group of 1,000 people across the country. You put out all of these sound bites.
That's right.
And then people grade them, right?
They do, and they let us know if they're a likely independent, Democrat, or Republican registered voter.
Okay, so watch the lines. The red are Republicans, the blue are Democrats, and the yellow, the independents. First soundbite, here's Trump and Clinton on stamina.
You have so many different things you have to be able to do, and I don't believe that Hillary has the stamina.
Let's let her respond.
Well, as soon as he travels to 112 countries and negotiates a peace deal, a ceasefire, a release of dissidents, an opening of new opportunities in nations around the world, or even spends 11 hours testifying in front of a congressional committee, he can talk to me about stamina.
Okay, so the grade?
So you could just see, they lined up party lines there. Yeah. Independents and Republicans gave Trump a B, Democrats a D. Hillary, they gave independents and Republicans gave her a D. Democrats a B+. Basically what we're seeing, not a lot of movement, but we are seeing that the independents continue to line up with Republicans, and that's really surprising to me. A lot of people thought watching this Donald Trump didn't perform as well as he could have, but independents are sticking with him.
And so that's good for him.
That is very good for him.
All right. Something that's bad for her is the current system, and here he is railing against it.
And it's really a shame. And it's politicians like Secretary Clinton that have caused this problem. Our country has tremendous problems. We're a debtor nation. We're a serious debtor nation. And we have a country that needs new roads, new tunnels, new bridges, new airports, new schools, new hospitals. And we don't have the money because it's been squandered on so many of your ideas.
Well, that was sky high for him.
That was sky high for him. This is pretty much the line of the night for him. Independents and Republicans gave this an A. Democrats gave it an F. So you can see the big divide here. But the thing is, when he was talking about how ineffective she has been over a long period of time, she's been around for 30 years, have things gotten better? It really worked for him. This is a message we've been seeing him talk about lately, ineffective Hillary Clinton. We're going to hear more of it. He should continue to hammer that home because that is the line, that is the idea that's resonating and making people question Hillary Clinton.
All right, here's Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and they're playing the blame game.
We have no leadership. And honestly, that starts with Secretary Clinton.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything that's ever happened.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not? You know, just join the debate by saying more crazy things.
So you can see here on Trump, independents and Republicans gave him a B, Democrats a C. Exactly the opposite mirror image for Hillary. Independents and Republicans got a C. Well, Democrats gave it a B. But the bottom line is this. This was a really good moment for Hillary Clinton. Republicans don't often give her a C. She seemed human. She seemed like she was having a good time. People could relate to her. This is the kind of moment we need to see more of from Hillary Clinton if she's going to continue to resonate and become more likable among those people who are not yet decided.
Then, you know, there's been this undercurrent about is she healthy, what's she doing, why she'd taken so much time off. That came up at one point. Here's Donald Trump, and she was waiting. She had a soundbite. Watch.
You decided to stay home, and that's okay. But I will tell you, I've been all over, and I've met some of the greatest people I'll ever meet within these communities, and they are very, very upset with what their politicians have told them and what their politicians have done.
I think Donald just criticized me for preparing for this debate, and yes, I did. And you know what else I prepared for? I prepared to be president, and I think that's a good thing.
He was waiting for that.
Again, you're seeing the mirror image of each other. Republicans and independents an A and Democrats a D for Donald Trump. Quite the opposite for Hillary Clinton there. It's look, I think the bottom line last night, my big takeaway is the needle didn't move for anyone last night. I think that the story that people are saying, a lot of people are saying Hillary Clinton had the performance of her life. She won.
People are saying that?
People are saying that, but I will tell you this. The voters are saying that's what I expected out of her. I expect her to be scripted. I expect her to be well prepared. I expected Trump to be a little bit off the cuff, a little bit ad-libbing, not quite as prepared. Both of them delivered the performances people expected, and I don't think we're going to see big movement. I really don't.
I'm with you. I thought it was a draw, but by virtue of the fact that, you know, she needed him to fall on his face, he didn't do it. He stood there toe-to-toe. They live to debate another day.
They do. And I think we're going to be watching the next one. And I think we're going to see Donald Trump come back a little bit fiery, if that's a word, for the next one.
Yeah. All right. Lee Carter, thank you very much. Interesting stuff. What do you think about that? Email us, friends@foxnews.com. Meanwhile, coming up, Brian went headfirst into the spin room last night at Hofstra.
I don't think we're going to see any serious change in the polls. I think that the electorate is just too polarized.
You know, he kept it on the issues. He exercised a lot of self-control. I was really proud of him to do that.
No changes in the polls. Lee Carter, he was listening to you. We're going to see how the campaign managers and family members saw the debate last night. Oh, there's that Mark Cuban. I guess he was there. And her face says it all. Tom Hanks crashing a Hollywood couple's big day. But did he make it to the reception? He stopped and introduced himself. Hi, I'm Tom Hanks. But first, happy birthday to our friend Meatloaf, who was here in the last 2 weeks. He is 69 years old today.
There actually weren't any commercials during tonight's debate, so they announced all these sponsors before it started. And I think they had a pretty good idea of what people would want to buy after it was over. Check it out.
Tonight's debate is brought to you by Jack Daniels, Budweiser, Johnny Walker, Coors, Miller Lite, Sam Adams, Guinness, Grey Goose, Toilet Wine, Mad Dog 2020, and finally, Canada.
Drive and get a drink.
Absolutely.
North of the border.
It's kind of hard to do a late night show, tape it at 5:30 before the debate, right? Isn't that a night you should say, sorry, Jimmy Fallon, you're going live?
Now, here's something you don't realize, though. Just outside the spin room, Ainsley pointed out that there was a beer tent.
There was a beer tent for all the journalists with free beer last night. It was awesome.
Any takers?
I had one. I had a pumpkin beer. Have y'all ever had a pumpkin beer? It's seasonal. Heather's saying yes. Delicious.
Right.
I highly
After a
recommend.
day
And you
like
can
we
only
had?
buy them this month, the
Right.
next month, basically.
You know what? It was a home game for me. I had to drive.
Yeah.
I did not drive.
I saw people drinking, and I said to myself, let's do the mature thing that I would make Steve proud. No beer, right home. All right?
I was watching you in the distance, and I was drinking, and you were working.
And you were working, too.
Fantastic.
All right.
You were there in the spin room.
Oh, yeah.
Met a lot of people.
Exactly. So here's what happened. Right after the event closed, I want to give everyone an idea of what it would be like in the spin room. And we didn't know what was going to happen, so we didn't know who was going to walk up to us and who would want to speak to us. So here's how it happened, how it unfolded. Let me know what you think.
How's it going?
Yeah, it was great.
How did it feel?
Great. It really felt great. I have to tell you, it really felt great. It was, you know, we want to save this country. Our country's going so bad, Brian. You know it. You know it. And whether it's jobs or illegal immigration, you saw the 800 people that became citizens and they were supposed to be deported. Our country's in serious trouble. I think it went really great because I was able to explain it, and based on all the online polls afterwards, it looks like I did a good job.
First time you ever matched up one-on-one with someone. What was the big difference? Compare that to the Republicans you went against.
Well, the Republicans were very smart. I mean, when you're going against Ted Cruz and Rubio and all of the guys that, you know, we went against with the Republicans, they're very smart. It was good training for me, frankly. I enjoyed that, and I very much enjoyed tonight. But, you know, Brian, you know this. It's about making America great again, and I think we're going to be well on our way to doing it. And you've seen the polls come out. In fact, I saw you this morning with the polls. The polls came out on your show.
You came out surging today. Do you think this will continue the surge?
Well, I think so. You know, we have to do a lot in our country. And again, you know what came out to me more than anything else? She talks about all the things she's going to do. Where has she been for 26 years?
Right. Okay, fine.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
All right, you wanted us to tell you how you did. You said, let me know. I thought you did a great job. You got both sides. You got people from Hillary's camp, and you actually got Donald Trump.
And Mark Cuban, who's unofficially in the Hillary Clinton camp for the
He was
longest
sitting
time.
front row. He ended up going last night.
Was he in the front row?
Yeah. That's
Look
what
at
his
that.
kids, I asked Donald's kids, because I didn't see him in the front row,
Right.
but I asked Donald's kids, and he said that he was.
Well, it's interesting. Donald Trump was quoting some of he was quoting the polls, but in the overnight non-scientific polls that have been released, for the most part, Donald Trump is winning in those if you go online like Drudge and stuff like that. But it's interesting. ABC News had one up last night for a little while. Trump was number one. Hillary was actually number 4, behind Jill Stein and Gary
On the
Johnson.
ABC poll?
What?
Yeah.
I
How
know.
crazy was that?
I know. The
Seriously?
Huffington Post poll, the PPP poll, the Snap poll shows Hillary doing better. The Drudge poll shows Donald Trump doing better.
I think a majority of the online polls show, according to the stuff we saw this morning, shows that he's leading. But it's not scientific. It's just whoever has control
Let us know what
of the
you think.
smartphone.
Who did you think won?
Right. You talk about being online. Heather now lives online. She lives in a virtual reality.
Of course, of course. Good morning,
Facebook,
everybody.
Twitter, whatever.
Okay, Brian.
Okay,
Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Hope you're off to a great day. Breaking details coming in overnight on the shooting death of Keith Lamont Scott. Police are now saying that he was carrying a stolen gun when he was shot and killed in Charlotte. A burglar telling police that he sold that gun to Scott. This, as it's revealed, Scott's wife filed a restraining order against him last year. She told police he had a gun, that he hit her and threatened to kill her. We also have some new information coming in on that body camera footage. We want to warn you, though, it may be disturbing to see. Police say there is no audio at the beginning of this because the officer didn't turn it on until after the shooting occurred. Only video can be recovered from that time period and not the audio. Well, justice may be coming for the families of terror victims in the United States. The U.S. Senate voting tomorrow to override President Obama's veto that would block families from suing Saudi Arabia. Now, the administration has concerns that other countries would sue the U.S. and its corporations in retaliation, but leaders are confident that they have enough votes to override President Obama's veto on that bipartisan bill. We'll be following that one. And Forrest Gump said this one best.
My mom always said, life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
How true is that? Well, that is especially true for these newlyweds. Take a look at this picture right here. Tom Hanks crashing their wedding photo shoot. He took this selfie and then he posted it on Instagram. The actor was jogging in New York Central Park when he saw them and stopped for photos. Look at the bride's face. How cute is that? It kind of says it all, doesn't it? Well, that couple saying they were overwhelmed, and then they invited him to their reception. Hanks politely declined but wished them congratulations. And those are your headlines.
He wasn't dressed for a reception.
He didn't have a gift.
They would have taken him anyway.
I'm sure they would.
Love it.
That's so nice of him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Hanks liked us.
Why? Because everyone likes you.
No, all of us. I think we're his type of people. All right, let me tell you what's coming up next. Donald Trump hammering Hillary Clinton on her plan to fight ISIS.
See, you're telling the enemy everything you want to do. No wonder you've been fighting. No wonder you've been fighting ISIS your entire adult life.
Ooh. So, who made the better case for national security? Pete Hegseth and former Senator Scott Brown join us next.
And did you hear this? Yep, the story and the possible scandal. Yes, there's a scandal behind those sniffles. We'll explain coming up. You're not going to believe it.
I have put forth a plan to defeat ISIS. It does involve going after them online. We also have to intensify our air strikes against ISIS and eventually support our Arab and Kurdish partners. We have to make this the top priority, and I would also do everything possible to take out their leadership.
President Obama and Secretary Clinton created a vacuum the way they got out of Iraq. She's been trying to take them out for a long time. But they wouldn't have even been formed if they left some troops behind, like 10,000. Had we taken the oil, and we should have taken the oil, ISIS would not have been able to form either.
So a major topic last night was national security, and it should have been. And who would do better protect the United States? What progress was made? Joining us right now to discuss and analyze, two men who don't need much sleep. Fox News contributors themselves, Pete Hegseth and former Massachusetts Senator Scott Brown, both serving in the military. Pete, let's start with you. Yeah. Your thoughts about that exchange in particular when it comes to ISIS and winning when it comes to national security?
He was correct in pointing his fire where he did, talking about the pullout. She was a part of it. She was in that administration, and those policies of retreat in Iraq led to the rise of ISIS. No doubt about it. Neither of them wanted to get into the details. He pointed at her, putting her plan on her website and said, telling everybody what it looks like. I think at a higher level, most importantly, Donald Trump passed the commander-in-chief test. I think to an average viewer is going to say, hey, his temperament, it seems measured. He seems like he understands enough of America's role, and I could see him as commander-in-chief, which is maybe a low bar, but he definitely passed it.
Senator, you might have seen a lot of opportunities for him to further define the difference in the Iraq war, especially after the surge.
Yeah, he was absolutely right, and to blame it on President Bush, oh, he set the timetable. Well, the new president can actually change the timetable, and I was there when the president had an opportunity actually to leave that transition training, quick reaction force, whatever, so he was spot on in that regard. Yes, there were many missed opportunities, I thought, with Donald Trump. I thought solid, B for him, but missed opportunities, singles and doubles, no home runs, no mistakes by either candidate.
All right, here's Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton talking about her emails. Now, this was something I thought would come up during the cybersecurity exchange. I thought that was a layup, and Donald Trump was about to do it. He didn't do it, but here he did. Listen.
That was more than a mistake. That was done purposely. Okay, that was not a mistake. That was done purposely. When you have your staff taking the Fifth Amendment, taking the Fifth so they're not prosecuted. When you have the man that set up the illegal server taking the Fifth, I think it's disgraceful. And believe me, this country thinks it's disgraceful. It really thinks it's disgraceful also.
I thought that was the opening of the wound, and the Band-Aid went back on.
It could have gone a lot deeper with that wound, pushed even harder. A number of other moments when he could have pivoted back to that. Donald Trump usually just answers the question, and he's not a answer it and then quickly pivot, which I think, and with her, you got to push back on her. What are her accomplishments on foreign policy at all? She doesn't want to talk about it other than meeting with foreign leaders because she doesn't have a track record. So she skates over it and moves on and is the master of the pivot. Whereas he just answers the question. I think sometimes he's got to see that opportunity and just pounce on it.
And Brian, that's a great point because she is a seasoned politician, been doing it for 30 years, had major debates. This is his first real debate. And I think he's saying, oh, wow, okay, that wasn't too bad. And the next debate is going to come back and really hammer. But it's interesting when you're looking at a lot of those actual pivots. There were missed opportunities to hit the question and then move on. And you're right, the email server, you notice what she said. She says, my private email. It's not about a private email. It's about a private server, the actual server system that was set up. That's the issue. And she's kind of confusing it a little bit. My private emails, I'm sorry I did it. No, it's about the server. It's not about the email. It's about the actual.
That's where the national security.
That's the national security
issue. And when
issue.
in doubt, smash it with a hammer. That would have been an interesting illustration, but it didn't come up. But like you said, it's the first one. We got two more, just so everyone said.
And we're still on the lookout for the 400-pound hacker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Under the bed.
Yeah. All right, Pete and Scott, I really like you guys. You're very nice.
Well, I like you too,
Thank you very much.
I always have. Thank you.
That's
very compassionate.
I'm a little surprised it went so well. All right. Coming up straight ahead, Donald Trump, fresh off last night's debates performance, joins us live to react and answer these questions and so much more. And she just tried to shake it off. This and many more hilarious social media reactions to last night's debate.
Well, this is probably going to be the biggest social media campaign and presidential election ever. Clayton Morris has been looking at it, and what's trending?
Well, last night we were laughing and sitting there on the couch watching Twitter last night. I'm sure you guys were too. People wondering, is Donald Trump have a cold or something?
Yeah.
Remember Al Gore sighing throughout the debate? That ended up being the thing on Saturday Night Live. Well, Donald Trump last night sniffing throughout the whole debate.
Sniffling.
Especially in the beginning.
Watch this.
But there's a lot of that.
Donald Trump's sniffles hashtag was one of the top trending topics last night.
Quick thing. Al Gore sighed because he wanted to show exasperation.
Right.
If you watch Donald Trump's debates, he's always breathing through his nose. He does that all the time.
It was different last night.
Mm-hmm. It was like louder.
Yeah, it was.
And the microphone wasn't close to him, too, which was weird.
It just sounded like he had a cold, and he was just
like
sniffling.
allergies. I have the same thing right now.
So that hashtag was trending all night. Here are some people writing this. JJ Kincaid tweeting this. Seriously, someone get at real Donald Trump some Allegra. Hashtag Trump sniffles. Here's another one from Shelley Ritter. Could he have caught Hillary's pneumonia?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Hashtag Trump sniffles. And then, of course, I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. If you guys had the tickets, you guys were there at the debate yesterday. The Hofstra souvenir tickets that were being handed out. Now, you have one job, right? If you're making the tickets and printing this out, they're not 16 candidates anymore. There are 2 people. This is your one job to print out the ticket.
Correctly.
Spell the candidates' names right.
It's 2 L's, not one.
2 L's. So this was trending last night. There's 1 L in Hillary. But then you'd think all of the celebrities that have, fawned over Hillary Clinton over the past number of months would know how to spell her name right also. Here was Modern Family's Jesse Tyler Ferguson tweeting with 1 L. Hillary's eyes must be so sore from restraining eye rolls yesterday. There you go. That was Jesse Tyler from Modern Family. Then John Cusack. I would vote for Hillary with 1 L.
Yeah.
Come on, people. And then here was Dax Shepard. Hillary, another with 1 L. Another celebrity there. 2 L's.
And real quickly, there was a shoulder shake.
Yeah, so all it takes is like 1 second of video to make a GIF. And, when she sort of shrugged off Donald Trump last night with that little head shake, there's the little shimmy shimmy. And that was trending last night as well. So all it takes is 1 second of video to make a GIF. I hate to see what they do.
Something for you to talk about.
That's right. I hate to see what they do in 3 hours of television. A GIF. Yeah. GIF. Or a GIF. There's a big debate. There's a really big debate on how to pronounce that.
GIF or GIF?
It's a graphic.
GIF.
All right.
There you go, guys.
Clayton, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Donald Trump's going to be joining us in about 2 minutes, so stick around. Put down their remote. You're watching Fox & Friends, the #1 cable morning news show in the world.
You've been doing this for 30 years. Why are you just thinking about these solutions right now?
Donald, I know you live in your own reality, but that is not the fact.
She's telling us how to fight ISIS. Just go to her website. She tells you how to fight ISIS on her website. I don't think General Douglas MacArthur would like that too much.
Well, at least I have a plan to fight ISIS.
No, you're telling the enemy everything you want to do.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything that's ever happened.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah. So he has a long record of engaging in racist behavior.
Typical politician. All talk, no action, sounds good, doesn't work.
But this is a man who has called women pigs, slobs, and dogs.
So when you try to act holier than thou, it really doesn't work. It really doesn't. Now,
Donald supported the invasion of Iraq.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
wrong.
True.
So she's got experience, that I agree, but it's bad experience.
Well, I'm sure you were watching. Everybody was. It was live from that building at Hofstra University. We were live there yesterday. We're not there today because it is pouring out there.
We imagine the candidates are feeling much better today because the first debate, they can check the box. It is over and done with.
Woo!
Right now, Donald Trump joins us on the phone. Good morning, Mr. Trump.
Good morning.
So how did you think it went last night?
I thought it went really well. I mean, I had some hostile questions, but that was okay. I thought it went really well. It was the debate of debates.
Who was the first person you went to after the debate and said, how do you think it went?
Well, my family came up, Ivanka, Melania, the whole family. And I thought that they came up like unbelievably well. They were just happy. They thought it was great.
You said that you got some hostile questions. That's the job of a moderator, is to ask hard questions. Do you feel that Lester Holt asked Hillary Clinton an equal number of hostile questions?
Well, he didn't ask her about the emails at all. He didn't ask her about her scandals. He didn't ask her about the Benghazi deal that she destroyed. He didn't ask her about a lot of things that she should have been asked about. I mean, you know, there's no question about it.
Why do you think that
is? About her foundation. Why? I don't know. I mean, you know, I didn't think he did a bad job, but I didn't. You know, when you look at it, you watch the last four questions. He hit me on
boom.
Bertha. He hit me on a housing deal from many years ago that I settled with
1973.
With no recourse and no guilt. He asked me about that. That's a beauty to be asked. You know, 40-year-old lawsuit or older. I just hate to say it's older because then you'll know. Then Ainsley will say, "Wow, I didn't know Trump was that old." she'll be unimpressed. But
I did like how you responded to that, though, because when they throw those things at you, and you're being in the audience, I didn't know about that, and then when you explain it, then you're like, "Oh, okay, well that makes sense."
Yeah, so I explained it, but when you explain that, it's a no-win too.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they were leaving all of her little goodies out. They didn't ask her about you know, much. I was asked about my tax returns, which I've told about 500 times. So it's you know, but I think I really did well when we were asked normal questions. I think I did really well in answering those questions, but those questions are not answerable in a positive light.
So Donald, any person who wants to be great in anything, and I think it's pretty clear to even your greatest detractor, you want to be great, looks back and says, well, I wish I could have done this better or different. Looking back at the tape, seeing some clips, do you say to yourself, man, how did I miss that? Or I wish I would have said this differently. And if so, what is an example?
Well, when she hit me at the end with the women, I was going to hit her with her husband's women. And I decided I shouldn't do it because her daughter was in the room.
Is that what you mentioned? You know, I had something I could bring up, but I didn't want to bring it up?
Yeah, having to do with her husband.
Many people thought that
all of the women. Yeah, they sort of thought that was it. And I didn't feel comfortable doing it. I think I did the right thing. It's not worth a point. I didn't feel comfortable doing it with Chelsea in the room. I think Chelsea's a fine young lady. I didn't like doing it with Chelsea in the room.
Do you regret not bringing up the emails as much? You brought it up at one point.
Well, I brought them up pretty strong. I talked about them, and I talked about cleaning them. Don't forget, Lester should have brought up the emails. That should have been a question.
What about Benghazi and the Clinton Foundation?
Well, I would have liked to have done that, but the questions weren't, you know, I mean, don't forget, you're asked a question as to progress or as to something, and it's hard to get off to Benghazi sometimes, the way the questions were framed. You know, you start off in a totally the opposite of Benghazi, and so Benghazi can't get brought up. Right. But it was a very interesting evening. I thought it was good. I thought Lester was really good for the half because he was bringing up general and main subjects that were important. You know, things like the economy, and then in the end, I mean, they start bringing up 45-year-old lawsuits.
Donald, do you think he got the message from the Matt Lauer Commander-in-Chief forum from a couple of weeks ago where he didn't want that to happen to him, and so he went where Matt seemed to me to be fair and balanced. Lester leaned a little over into the left lane?
Yeah, totally. More than a little. And you know, he leaned over to that lane. But I don't know. Every poll, I won Slate. I won Drudge. I got almost 90% of the vote in the poll. I won Time Magazine. I won CBS. I won every single poll other than CNN, and not many people are watching CNN. I'll tell you what, that place is a disaster. The people they have on those shows, they have third-rate talent as their announcers on that show.
Yeah, you didn't.
The moderators.
I was watching
some
of the post game. They were
MSNBC, believe it or not, which treats me better than CNN, which is actually hard to believe. But MSNBC is beating CNN. Right. So anyway, no. Other than CNN, the only poll I got that was where I lost was CNN, and that was a very Democratic poll. They even say it was it's very sampled, high Democratic. Mm-hmm. No, I think the result was very good. I thought it was very interesting. I know a lot of people wished it was much longer. I mean, and it did go fast. I will say, from my standpoint, an hour and a half sounds like a long time when it's two people. It went so fast, 20 minutes. It just kept going so fast, and I was impressed by that. That meant I enjoyed it, I guess.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to something they brought up your taxes, and you said, yeah, I'll release my taxes against with my lawyer's better judgment if you get me the 33,000 emails that you deleted and bleached off your server. Jennifer Palmieri, I saw her in the spin room, so I wanted to see if she would take that deal. Here's what she said.
He suggested that the reason why he hasn't released his taxes is because he hasn't paid any. He seemed proud of that fact. He said that made him smart. So I think
it's not illegal.
He compounded, our expectation is that he compounded a lot of problems for himself. He is the candidate. He has historically challenged in disclosure. We haven't seen his tax returns. He still hasn't put out. He hasn't matched her on health records. He's not given the American public the most basic information that we expect.
Well, the question that you didn't hear that was
that's called spin.
It's a spin room.
Because it had nothing to do with that. I just said, hey, I will go against my lawyer's orders. If you release your 33,000 deleted emails, which I'm sure she could get, but it'd be very dangerous for her to get. But so I'm not giving much when I say that. What do you think the chances of my getting that deal? Do you think they're pretty small?
Yeah, probably.
She basically blew it off.
Unless Julian Assange releases them for her.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Well, he's supposedly out there. He is saying he's releasing something, which will be interesting. But let's find out what he's going to release.
Going in, she was trying to get under your skin a couple of times. Did she?
No, not at all. I didn't see it that way. At the end, maybe the very last question when she brought up the person that became I know that person. That person was a Miss Universe person, and she was the worst we ever had. The worst, the absolute worst. She was impossible. And she was a Miss Universe contestant and ultimately a winner who they had a tremendously difficult time with as Miss Universe.
Did not know that story.
Well, I didn't know it either.
She was the winner, and she gained a massive amount of weight, and it was a real problem. We had a real problem. Not only that, her attitude, and we had a real problem with her. So Hillary went back into the years, and she found this girl. This was many years ago, and found the girl and talked about her like she was Mother Teresa. And it wasn't quite that way, but that's okay. Hillary has to do what she has to do. I see what's happening in the polls. I guess you see I'm tied in Minnesota and winning in Colorado, and looks like we're going to be winning in Pennsylvania very soon. One thing I got out, I think really the best, was immigration, illegal immigration, the police, law and order, and maybe the thing I got out best is trade.
Trade and jobs.
Because trade and jobs. And those are basically the three things we're going to have to get out. And I got them out early and strong, and a lot of people think the poll numbers are going to go up because of that. And I hope you're impressed with the poll numbers, but a lot of people think the poll numbers are going up because of that.
Well, there are a lot of pundits out, on some of the channels they're talking about how she had the debate of her life. In the things I've read, and we all watched it, it didn't look like either one of you got a knockout punch.
No, I would say that. I would say, the polls are saying 60-40, 65-35. That's what the polls are saying.
Well, people were saying they just wanted you to stay on, many Republicans were saying they wanted you to stay on message, and I think a lot of the Republicans that I was talking to last night said they were pleased with the way that you did that. Now going into the next debate, you've gotten your feet wet. This was the first time you've been on a one-on-one debate. She has lots of experience in this, and you're coming out of this, and the polls are indicating that you did very well.
Not bad for a first time,
exactly.
one-on-one.
So going into the next debate, what are you going to do differently? Anything that you'd like to do differently?
Well, I may hit her harder in certain ways. I really eased up because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But so I may hit her harder in certain ways. I think that I don't know if it's the same forum, if it's a similar forum. I had a problem with a microphone that didn't work. I don't know if you saw that in the room, but my microphone was terrible. I wonder was it set up that way on purpose? My microphone in the room, they couldn't hear me. It was going on and off. Wow. Which isn't exactly great. I wonder if it was set up that way, but it was terrible. But when I tested it, it was beautiful. Like an hour before, I said, "What a great mic!" But in
you mean
actuality,
for the people listening in the hall could not hear your
well,
full
it was
answers?
on and off, and it was much lower than hers.
Okay.
I don't want to believe in conspiracy theories, of course, but it was much lower than hers, and it was crackling. And she didn't have that problem. That was, to me, a bad problem because you have a bum mic. It's not exactly good.
Yeah. You know what the press liked? Sorry, Brian.
Yeah,
go ahead. I was going to say, you know what the press liked about what you did last night?
What?
We were in the spin room, and you walked in there with your entire family, and you talked to so many people. And I understand this never happens, right?
I've never seen it happen before, and you walked over to everybody, including some of your harshest critics. What went into that?
Well, not much. I went to the spin room, and it was very friendly. A lot of people thought I won. And you know what I go by? I go by those debates. They're great. The polls. When I go into a debate, I look at the polls, and I look at Drudge, who's great. He's also a great guy, by the way. But I look at the Drudge poll. I look at the Time Magazine poll. I look at Slate. I look at, there's like 7 polls. And other than CNN, which is meaningless because it's a Democratic poll, other than CNN, I won every poll easily. I won CBS. So other than that one situation, I won every poll. That to me means a lot. And you have 300,000 people voting on those polls.
That's a lot. That's right. All right. Donald Trump is actually going to stick around. We're going to take a quick commercial timeout. He's going to answer some of your questions in 2 minutes. Some more live from New York City.
Send in your questions.